right, we are officially over a week into 2020, and many of you for the new year committed to losing weight and regaining your health this year. But now we're asking questions of ourselves, like what it takes to get there, what can we do to reach our fitness goals and physique goals in 2020. So in this video, I'm going to discuss the most impactful things you can do to improve your health in 2020 and beyond. But first, my name is Jordan, and on my channel I discuss all things keto, carnivore, low carb, provide tips and tricks to help you get your health back on track, as well as sprinkle in some full days of eating and grocery hauls. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing down below, as well as turning on notifications so you are notified every time I post new content. Now, let's get into the video. Alright, so let's get into tip number one, or step number one for regaining your health in 2020. And we'll start off with what I believe is the most impactful thing you can do, again, to regain your health in this new year. And that is to cut out sugar, flour, and processed seed oils like canola, corn, products like Crisco. Within that basically encompasses all processed foods, and within that we will also include cutting out phytoestrogens like soy, as well as trans fats like margarine. So it is important when you go shopping and prepare your shopping list to read the labels of these products. Trans fats are a tricky one. Things like hydrogenated oil, hydrogenated soybean, canola, whatever it might be. Or if you decide to buy even something like Cool Whip, that is made with hydrogenated oils. So the fats in there are trans fats. And we want processed trans fats. There are naturally occurring trans fats like conjugated linoleic acid, CLA, in animal foods. Those are beneficial to the human body and okay to consume. But processed trans fats are what are toxic, as well as processed foods overall, again, generally containing sugar, flour, and some sort of oil. Right now, it's most prevalent to be soybean oil. So read the labels as you shop. Make sure you're checking for those items that I've just talked about. But it's a study titled Beyond the Calories is the Problem in the Processing, and you can find it in treatment options in gastroenterology. I pulled this up on PubMed. I will put a description or a link to the study down below. Now, I'm unfamiliar with the type of study it was, whether it's a cohort study. There's confounding variables. I don't know. I haven't looked into it. But the study and the authors of this study basically come to the conclusion that, and this was authored by George Washington School of Medicine and Health Sciences, and the recent findings, recent human trials have found ultra-processed foods are a contributor to decreased satiety, which is a huge thing in regaining your health. You want increased satiety, so you're not eating all the time. Increased meal eating rates, again, goes with decreased satiety. Worsening biochemical markers, so you would assume that to be things like inflammation, bad levels of LDL, or the particle size of LDL is now unfavorable. HDL to triglyceride ratios are probably unfavorable, as well as things like higher blood pressure. Those are biochemical markers. And more weight gain, again, due to meal timing, the amount of times you're eating in the day, as well as the decreased satiety mechanism. Processed foods have the ability to signal dopamine responses in the brain, as well as skip past the satiety signaling that your body would generally provide through eating whole, natural foods. So step number one, cut out processed foods. Step number two in regaining your health in 2020 will piggyback off of step number one, and that will be to improve the nutrient density and quality of your foods and limit it to whole single ingredient foods. So nutrient dense and quality are going to be things like animal foods, eggs, whole eggs, Liver, if it's in your repertoire or enjoy the taste of it, but liver for sure is very nutrient dense animal foods. Ruminants like lamb and beef are fairly nutrient dense, especially if you get them in a grass fed, grass finished, and quality processing type red meat. So, red meat, egg yolk, liver, fish like salmon, particularly high in DHA, omega 3, EPA, essential for optimal brain function. So, definitely fatty fish. And then, there still are, for people who can process them properly and have no digestive issues, nutrient dense plant foods. For me, again, I stick to spinach, cauliflower, occasionally broccoli, avocado, and cucumber as my low sugar fruit. And yes, they are fruits. And that is really my repertoire of plant foods that I consider fairly nutrient dense, that I keep around in case I'm in the mood for them. Stick to whole ingredient unprocessed foods for step number 2 to regain your health in 2020. Step number 3 towards regaining your health is going to be to get active. Regardless of what that activity level is, you need to do something to get your body moving. Muscle, is it's now quoted, and muscle is the organ of longevity, and I'm a true believer in that. It also helps with your basal metabolic rate, your resting metabolic rate, so the calories you're burning laying in bed, not moving, just breathing. The more lean tissue you have, the higher that number is, which means you can then lose more weight over the long run. Not when you're not exercising, you can be burning more calories, thus aiding in your weight loss and helping you reach your health goals. So you don't have to commit to 4, 5, 6 days off the bat of getting active, but you do need to try. Again, if you're sedentary, start moving, start walking, start jogging. It's free. You can go outside and get your walking and get your cardio in. Force your body to adapt to those changes. Build some lean muscle mass, burn some body fat, and start working towards your health goals. If you're already slightly active, take it up a notch. Add another day of activity. Add another day of high intensity activity. If you don't weight train, go weight train for a day. There's plenty of things you could do. If you have a pool or the availability of a pool, community pool, friends, family, get in there and swim. It's very low impact and definitely one of my favorite things to do. Next suggestion to help you in 2020 is going to be experiment. And what do I mean by that? I mean that specifically with diet. So you heard me talk about cutting out ultra processed foods or processed foods in general, eating single ingredient whole foods as the base of your diet and really the majority or the totality of your diet. So, but you need to experiment. Some people can eat a paleo style diet and still have things like quinoa, sweet potato, roots, and tubers, and do okay health wise, even though their carbohydrate intake is higher. Other people need to eat a more ketogenic carnivore style diet where they're having a little bit of plant food, which really has little to no impact on glycemic variability and insulin, as well as animal foods, and need to stick to that, again, low carb or no carb lifestyle to have the most impact on their health. But it is important for you to experiment. You're not going to know what works best for you or what is optimal for you without trying. So first things first, again, cut out the processed foods. After that, see what you can tolerate that is a whole food. If you are, if you really want to still keep rice and quinoa and sweet potato and carrots or whatever it might be, yams in your diet, then try those for a month and see how the progress goes. If progress is slower than you want, then start cutting back on the carbohydrates. But you need to experiment in order to find out what is going to work best for you and your body and your metabolism. All right, and the last step towards regaining your health in 2020 and beyond is going to be stay consistent. And yes, I can preach it. It's harder then it's harder to do than it is to say. The best diet is the one you'll stick to. And while I believe that all diets and all ways of eating and all ways towards health should include nutrient-dense animal foods as well as some plant foods that don't, again, upset digestion, cause any autoimmune issues, that is my preference. But everybody is different, so you need to find what works for you in order to stay consistent. Alright everybody, time to wrap up the video. Short, to the point. I hope you enjoyed these most impactful tips for regaining your health in 2020. And if you've made it this far, please give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and share this with others who you would think might find some information valuable as well. And until the next video, keep up the good work and let's get healthy together.